everybody, and welcome to The Very Worst, a podcast that is only about all of the Pokemon movies. I am Matt Aucamp.
I'm Pat Reber.
And I'm special guest Katie Cwirko.
Katie, thank you so much for being here and talking about what's just actually going to be one of the best movies any of the three of us have watched in our lives.
I wouldn't call it a movie, I would call it a film.
Yeah, it's an artistic achievement.
We're going to have problems tonight, folks.
We're talking about Pokemon the movie, Diancie, and the Cocoon of Destruction.
Mm-hmm.
Pat's making a face, and I don't know whether it's about his drink or my pronunciation of Diancie.
It was the drink. But I will say, I read it as Diancie at first. So my first question about this movie was, will there be dancing? There was none. There was not.
Well, the big rock princess doesn't walk, she hops around. That's kind of like a dance.
Like a rabbit.
It's like the rabbit dance.
No, because they all hop around. All the weird little beings that worship her hop around. That's just how they get from place to place.
Okay, we have to introduce Katie to our audience at large, but I want to broad strokes about why this movie is so great. Number one, an hour long.
Mm-hmm. Number two, concise character development. Number
three, Pat.
Oh, sorry, I'm listing all yours so I can debunk them one by one.
You're going to debunk the fact that this is an hour long?
First of all, it's an hour 5, which you feel.
There's a moment where you're like, how long is this thing? Oh, there's only 5 minutes left. And then it's like, there's still 2 minutes left. Katie, what's your experience with Pokemon?
I was really into Pokemon as a kid, and I wasn't allowed to have the trading card game or a Game Boy, but I was one of those kids who, if my friends had the cards and stuff, I would be very obsessed with it.
Right.
Like, I got my first Pokemon card from Burger King, and I remember that being a really important moment in my life.
What was it?
It was, I think it was Cubone.
Oh,
it was either Cubone or Pidgey. I can't remember.
The loneliest Pokemon.
Yeah, what a sad thing for it to be your only card that you have is the Pokemon that's defined by its loneliness.
Yeah, it's like and it also wasn't like a card you got in a pack. It was a Burger King Pokemon card, so it was like close enough. This is as close as you're gonna get to like this.
On the back, instead of saying Pokemon Trading Card, did it say like the Burger King Cool Cards Club?
It had to have done something like that, but I remember like looking at it and thinking, oh, this is good enough. I've got as close as I'm gonna get to it.
You're holding it up in the mirror and you're like, you made it, kid.
I got it.
Wait, can I ask why weren't you allowed to have Pokemon cards?
I think that I'm sure that it was because it was an expensive hobby to have.
Oh, sure.
That because Pokemon cards you had to buy a lot of them, and that's a lot of money over time. But also, I was a kid who got really into things for a very short amount of time.
Oh, yeah.
And then dropped off real quick. So I think my parents were just like, no, we're not going to open this. We're not going to crack this can.
Break it over this Pandora's box.
Yeah. Or she's going to be really into Pokemon cards for like 2 months because we bought them for her. And as soon as we buy them for her, she's not going to be into it anymore.
I think my parents were so I was the same way, and I think my parents were just happy that I was no longer spending all of my money on Pogs. Because Pogs were literally just like circles of cardboard with like a picture from the internet printed out onto them.
Yeah, at least these were squares of cardboard.
Yeah. And there's like the game in Pogs. Do you guys know how to play Pogs?
It's like you like flip the disc at a pile of discs, and whoever knocks over the disc is king.
It's like, yeah, I think you're king. I think you actually there's like a royalty element to it. It's is it the ones that are facing face up, you lose, and the ones that are facing face down, you keep?
Okay.
But you have if that's the rules, if that is the rules as I understand them, you have no control over that, right? There's absolutely no way to be good or bad at Pogs.
Arbitrary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that was the same rule with Crazy Bones. Do you guys remember Crazy Bones?
What?
It was like Pogs, but they were these weird hard plasticky, blobby creatures that all had personalities because it was the 90s.
Nice.
And you'd line them up on the edge of a table, and your friend would line them up on the edge of the table, and you'd flick them across. And whichever ones you knocked down, I think you got to keep.
Oh, that sounds way cooler.
That sounds better than Pogs.
It hurt a lot because they were like hard, dense plastic.
You know what I liked most about the 90s? Just all the personalities. it's not the TRLs that we aimed for. It was the personalities we made along the way.
Yeah, because you got to have the girl Crazy Bone. You've got to have the sleepy Crazy Bone.
The one made out of
crazy
boogers
bone.
or something.
There was a slimy one. There's like a slime blob one. Yeah.
Do you guys want to talk about a Pokemon film?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, before we get into it, Katie, do you have anything you want us to hype up on here?
Absolutely nothing.
Yay! All right, let's talk about Diancie and the Cocoon of Destruction. Okay, so again, this movie was only an hour long. Pat's really upset about this one. What are your like? I know we already did like overall feelings, but I feel like I didn't get a good read on where you're at, Katie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did a list of things everyone loves about the movie instead of overall feelings.
Okay, all right. Overall feelings about the movie. Let's start with Katie.
I checked my phone a lot, and I checked the time of the movie a lot during this. And a lot of my notes are, wait, why? Who are these people, and why are they here? And
another ninja?
And oh, his tongue is his scarf. I'm not super into like the newer generations of Pokemon, but I knew of Greninja, but I didn't realize that his tongue was his scarf, and that threw me.
And he doesn't pull his tongue back in his mouth. It just
he's just like gotta wrap it around my neck.
Around his neck too. What a choking hazard.
There's literally nothing else I can think to do with this thing.
Have you watched a Pokemon movie before, Katie?
Oh yeah, I've seen at least the first 3.
Okay.
Like where Mew comes and he's like, "Am I a person?" And you're like, "No, Mew, you're a Pokemon. Let's be chill about this." And then he's not. I've seen a couple, and then I used to watch the Pokemon TV show every day for up until like 8th grade.
Have you gone back to it? Like, have you? It all hit Netflix not that long ago.
I've watched it. I've watched a couple of the old episodes, and they are the most, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Did you have I had this experience when I did that I remembered every moment of the episode. Like, and I didn't think I did. Like, if you were to ask me anything that happened in a Pokemon episode, I would not have been able to tell you. But as I was watching, I was like, oh yeah, and then he says that, like, I knew lines of dialogue.
I think that I could probably recall some like major moments, but I don't know if there are things that like The Simpsons, if I'm just casually watching an episode, I can pretty much like regurgitate all the lines.
Yeah.
Right.
But I can't do that with the Pokemon TV show. But Brock and Misty and Ash sure love onigiri. Now that I know what it's called, those like little rice triangles, they love them. They just eat them.
I still have no idea what any of the food they eat. Sometimes they call them donuts, and I look at them, and they're like a triangle.
Yeah, it's I think that's called onigiri. It's just like rice cakey.
Why do they sometimes call it donuts?
Because American kids are dumb.
If we say that they're enjoying rice, American kids will never get it.
What do you mean? You're just casually eating rice?
Rice is punishment food. Pat, what are your overall impressions of this movie?
I thought this was awful. This is, I don't want to spoil the rankings that everyone tunes in for and listens through the whole
Everyone's
show
favorite segment of the show.
But this is going towards the bottom.
I didn't think this one was as bad as some of the other ones.
I thought it, so there were a lot of, number one, there was no dancing. I know it's only an hour long, but it felt so much longer. It just drags on. It's very, having watched like 15 of these movies so far, it's like they've put together a formula now and they're just plugging in names and different Pokemon. Also, there's like 8 different characters that we meet and have to get to know to understand their dynamics in this movie.
Oh my god, taking like beat by beat notes on this movie was a fucking nightmare. It was like, oh, fucking another group of characters we have to care about.
There's 3 different...
There were 5 groups pursuing this little diamond bunny. like 5 different whole chunks of groups. And I was just like, why are we, why? And
they're all master thieves. They've all been trained as master thieves, and they're all in the same city looking for the same Pokemon.
Let's
sorry, one more note about this movie. I was watching this during work.
Yeah.
And I chose to work instead of watching it. I was pausing the movie because I was so bored, and I was like, well, maybe I'll just stop and do some work for a few minutes instead.
I watched this movie. I had to pee the whole time. I was like, it's only an hour. I can get through this. And I think that helped a lot because I think on some level it was like enough of a distraction that I was like, yeah, this movie's fine.
That's why you like it so much?
Because you
didn't have to pee.
Because I had to pee real hard. And then I did afterwards, and I was like, oh, that was a good movie.
I liked this movie because I rewarded myself for watching it.
With a basic biological function. Okay.
I almost gave myself a kidney infection because of this Pokemon movie.
Because I had to watch this little diamond lady. All right. So, since these movies have gone straight to Cartoon Network, they just like go right to it, which I also appreciate. Because it opens up with our like mythical Pokemon. We see Diancie like right away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like a rock lady with a crystal crown.
She's a lump of coal. But she's literally a lump of coal because it's all diamonds. So diamonds come from coal.
So there's coal. Yeah, she has like a coal bottom, but then like diamond. She's got like a goblin face. And then, like, diamond hair and a diamond crown. You know what she looks like is in Adventure Time Princess? But, like, one of the very unpopular ones.
She looks like, you know, when, if you've ever seen the process of a comic book getting made, when they first kind of storyboard it and just draw outlines of the characters. So it's like a circle head on top of an oval body.
Yeah.
It looked like that.
Yeah.
They hadn't had the legs of the arms or any detail.
Yeah, but then they drew like clothing on top.
Where you get like those how to draw your favorite characters books.
Diancie is step 2.
Where it's like Diancie's like step 3 or 4, but like you haven't added like the legs or anything on it. It's just like, all right. You made it here, but now let's add her face. But you just get tired, or you have to go to your Nana's.
And you just leave it. And then somebody animates it and turns it into an hour-long movie.
Your older cousin who's in animation school takes it and animates it.
So it starts off with like this really cartoony premise, which is this like princess is running around getting chased by all her friends, but then this like royal stick in the mud comes up and he's bumbling and he crashes into a pile of diamonds.
Oh.
And he's like, "Oh, Princess Diancie, yeah, it's time.
Oh, come on, you're not doing this guy. If there's one high point to this movie, it's this guy, the elder, because she hangs out with a group of other rocks with eyes, other Pokemon that are just shaped like diamonds.
They're called Carbinks.
Okay.
Oh my god, of course they are.
And they all look the same except for one who they call the Elder. I think he has a real name that I forgot to write down.
He's got a beard.
One is the bumbling servant man.
Yeah.
Who instead of having like a ring of, I don't know, fucking mold around his chest, he has his ring of mold is shaped into a mustache. And then there's a second guy who's the elder, who his is a beard.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Am I jumping ahead? I love the elder. That's why I jumped ahead.
You love the elder because his introduction line is, "There's no time for giggling."
Yes. I know we haven't, it's been a while since we've come up with another character to add to our side character fan fiction.
Oh,
But
yeah.
This guy is, first of all, he's got a beard. He is the same as all the other Pokemon, except he has a beard. He talks like Papa Smurf.
Yeah, I thought that he sounded like Zeus from Disney's Hercules.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
And he farts when he walks, too. They all just like bounce along the ground. That's how they move. And when he goes, it goes...
Did not notice that. He's really good. He hates giggling. He also hates the phrase "okie dokie."
Yeah.
Oh my god. Diancie is so dumb. She's so dumb. I couldn't get over that, like, her first moments of her just doing, like, this flirty hide and seek with these other lumps of coal. Or she's like, can't hide, you can't find me. And I was also very thrown that the Pokemon all spoke, like, English.
Yeah.
That I haven't watched a Pokemon movie besides, like, Mewtwo, because he's, like, an elevated Pokemon. Everybody does their, like, little cute little Pokemon phrase, and then they're speaking full sentences like, what is happening?
So every main character of a Pokemon movie, for the most part, either screams at us, just like their dialogue is just loud human screams, or they speak perfect English but using telepathy. And
okay,
this one is the latter.
Yeah.
This has happened before.
If we were still in the Brock and Misty days, Brock would say, "It's telepathy."
And he has a spiritual successor now. We'll get to it.
Yeah. Giant baby.
So the elder shows up and tells Diancie that she has a responsibility now, and she's got to adhere to it. And she says, "Okie dokie," and he gets mad. And he leads her to he leads her to this giant diamond. They're in a cave that they all live in. He leads her to this giant glowing diamond, and he's like, "The heart diamond gives us energy and tranquility," which is like way too new agey for me.
I was also watching this and being like, who else does this affect? Does this affect only the little bunnies? Or does this affect, like, oh, the whole planet will die? Because if the stakes are, like, it only affects the bunnies, I don't care as much, unfortunately.
This one cave will not be as cool, is what it seems like the stakes are.
Well, they don't reveal the stakes here until the end of the movie. Like, you know that something bad is going to happen, but unless I missed something because I was doing something else instead of watching the movie, they don't actually explain the damage that this will cause until they're in, like, the third act.
Well, he does say that if the heart diamond dies, that'll be the end of their civilization or whatever.
Yeah.
But then Diancie's like, you're exaggerating.
This I wrote down here, 2 minutes in, and I'm done with this dumb movie.
So
I might just be in a mood today.
Diancie tries to make, he's like, if you have to make us a new heart diamond, that's your destiny. And she's like, all right, I'll try. And then she tries and she fucking fails.
She's the only one that can make one.
So he tells her she's got to go see Xerneas. Pat's rolling his eyes. And I can only assume Katie's rolling her eyes. I can't see Katie.
I am.
You gotta go see Xerneas.
You know what? You gotta go see Xerneas.
And his fairy aura will give you the power to make the heart diamond to make our cave cool.
I love the just weird clump of Pokemon when he was like, back in the time before people, and it's just like a Bidoof. Why is a Bidoof there? Like, why would anyone want a Bidoof with them in their last moments? It's like a Bidoof, the Coal Bunny, and then like two other Pokemon that I can't remember. I think it was like a Bulbasaur or something.
Yeah, there were some Oddishes.
There were quite a few Oddishes.
Yeah.
I love this flashback because he's like, I saw Xerneas once before when I was a youth, and I was in the forest and everything. And it's like he tells the story about everything in the forest around him started dying, and he started dying. And in his flashback, like him in his flashback, the character that he is telling a story about says the dialogue, "My life force is being drained. I'm finished." Like, so it's not him saying,
and he does that like anime shaking thing of like they're on their last leg before they get their second wind.
It's not, and I want to be clear, it's not him telling Diancie like, I was on my last, my life force was being drained. I felt like I was finished. It was him saying, because he was telling a story, so it was literally him saying, and then I said, my life force is being drained. I'm finished. But it is his little flashback. Xerneas shows up and does fairy aura, and everything gets better. And then Diancie says okie dokie, and he gets mad again.
Then we get our title screen, our second opening credits.
Yeah, we get our second opening credits. The narrator's back.
Woo.
Now, Katie, since you haven't seen many of these, you won't realize that there's a deep lore to this narrator.
Okay.
The narrator has shown up in... This is the same narrator from the very first movie, and he keeps showing up and telling us about how many Pokemon there are, and that they live in the sea and the water and the... They live in the sea and the air and the forests, and they're amazing.
And in space, and in other dimensions.
But
which he doesn't.
For a while, he disappeared because he just started talking about how many there were, and like every movie, he would just be like, "There are as many as grains of sand on your favorite beach," or "There are literally thousands," or he'd say, "There's too many to count," even though in the past two movies he like counted them. And then he disappeared for a couple movies. So we assumed he got fired because he wouldn't talk about the plot. He was only talking about how many
Pokemon there
are. The only thing I can assume here is that he broke into the studio and just started narrating.
I thought maybe they're just giving him another shot because he doesn't mention how many Pokemon there are in this intro. I thought maybe they were like, okay, you can come back, but the moment you talk about how many Pokemon there are.
And you can hear him, like, desperately trying not to. He's like, and there's some in the water, and there's a number of them in the sky.
They also cut him off. Usually he has, like, a... And here's Ash and his friends. Let's join them now. But he didn't get that in this one. He just gets cut off abruptly. So I'm wondering if maybe he riffed for a little while about how many Pokemon there are.
They cut him off and fired him again. Also, did you guys notice when he was talking about how they battle Pokemon, like what Pokemon do, fight each other? They cut to like a Pokemon arena, and
Yes.
they're like the Pokemon trainers are in armor.
Yeah, I wrote one of my notes is why is that Pokemon trainer in a full suit of armor?
Plate armor.
Like full plate armor, like he's gonna get on a horse and go joust after this.
Like he's gonna physically fight one of the Pokemon with a sword.
Yeah, they were really pushing the fact that like, and humans force them to fight for sport for no real reason.
Right.
But like it's a good thing.
But here's
but they
the best
love it.
thing about them. We make them
This
fight
horsey
each other.
loves fighting. Pokemon are naturally aggressive and they love it. They just eat it up like a big bowl of pasta.
So like a big old pasta dish. They then we're introduced to the hero of every Pokemon movie, Ashley Catch Them All, and his brand new friends.
Yeah, what happened?
When did what year did the Pokemon show start happening?
Like 97, 98.
Yeah.
So he's been 13 for almost 20 years now.
Oh, it is a rough,
Katie.
That's a rough topic you've stumbled into there, Katie. He's
Oh no, have I ripped open a Band-Aid?
he is he oscillates, I think, between 11 and 13.
Yeah, he was legit 16 there for a few movies, but then he jumped back to 10 and has been aging at a pretty consistent pace ever since.
Pat has ideas about how old he is, but it has no basis in the movies. It only has basis in Pat's perception.
Yeah, it's just like you talk to a guy and you're like, oh, he's like 15, 16.
Yeah. How old would you guys say he is in this movie?
I'm saying he's 13. I think he's about 13, 14.
That sounds about right. I would say 14.
He behaves like a 13, 14. I think he's still like 11. I think if we looked it up on the internet, we'd find he was still like 11.
His voice is getting pretty deep. Like he's got that teenage boy voice.
Right. They never made his voice crack, which is what really bothers me about Ash Ketchum. So he's got 3 new friends. One who's dressed like a Vault Boy from Fallout.
Yeah, that's Clement.
One who's like a little blonde girl.
That's Bonnie.
And then one who have hat.
Serena.
I think that's Serena.
Clement is very smart and very large toddler. I'm pretty sure. He's wearing toddler pajamas. He's wearing a onesie with little stripes on the knees. He's got that little curl in the front of his hair, just like a baby.
He's just a very big science boy.
Got a perfectly round head with chubby cheeks. He's a baby genius that's also like 5 feet tall.
Yeah, he
runs like a toddler. Like he clearly is still figuring out his legs.
Here's what we know about him. He dresses like a Vault Boy toddler. He is an Inspector Gadget. Because he has Inspector Gadget gadgets in his backpack.
All right, I'll get to this in a second.
He loves to state things that we, the audience, have just already figured out 10 to 15 seconds earlier.
Okay, he's the character who, if a Pokemon says a line, he's going to be the one who immediately repeats it so that everyone understands that it was said and that it's important.
That's true. His little sister, Bonnie, incomprehensible to me, and Serena is barely a character in this movie. Is that fair to you guys?
Checks out. I think Clement, also, we neglected to mention his glasses, which are like
a major character trait in one of these movies.
I just know they're like little computers. They're like Google glasses. They're like Iron Man's glasses in Infinity War.
What makes you think that?
Because at different points, they light up bright white, and he starts, like, spitting out information.
Oh, so you're imagining that he's getting that information from the glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got all sorts of gadgets. He's a gadget guy.
So
but he's got another... Sorry, I can't hold it back anymore. This is the second time we've seen somebody who is like some sort of gadget whiz, but their gadget is just a backpack with a hand on it, and that hand just reaches out and pulls other things out of their backpack. And that's primarily what they use it for.
Right, there's one invention that they made.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got Clement, we've got Bonnie, we've got Hat Girl, Serena, sorry. And they're watching Ash battle in some town while Team Rocket float by and they're watching too.
Yeah, and they've got a plan, clearly.
Right, they always...
Do you think anybody's figured out that when you see that giant Meowth head balloon floating in the sky, that's them?
I think at just this point, everyone in this universe is probably just like tired in the way that it's a family party and that cousin you don't like that you don't want to show up finally shows up and you're like, Jesus. Like,
and they've got some sort of like, they've got like a loud car that pulls into the driveway, or they've got like a mechanical wheelchair or something that announces them on their way, and you just have to go like, okay.
Yeah, it's like a loud car where you're just like, it's like a beat up loud car, and you're just like, okay,
Devin's
great.
here.
Am I that cousin?
So Team Rocket appears, and they don't do anything quite yet, but they'll be around.
They will. They got a good part in this movie.
At the same point, while Ash is fighting some lady in the town, we see Diancie running through the woods and being attacked by some random other lady,
like a person,
like
a human with a Pokemon, trying to just seeing it like on the edge of the city, and giving it a hard time for seemingly no reason. Can I also point out that Ash is in the middle of a Pokemon battle, and he has acquired a frog with a knife.
I also loved that frog was doing some beautiful knife work, just like flipping that laser knife around.
2 Pokemon just fighting with laser knives. This is what it's come down to. This is the inevitability, right? It's just going to get more and more violent.
You start out with dog fighting, bad enough, and then you're eventually going to move on to monkey knife fights.
You're giving the dogs knives, and the dogs are very capable with the knives that you've given them.
So, what I appreciated about this Pokemon battle in particular, it was very high octane. There were some quick cuts between like Diancie fighting this lady, and then fighting a ninja man.
A ninja man with a different type of frog that leaves its tongue wrapped around its neck.
Would you be surprised?
Yeah, the Greninja.
Would you guys be surprised to find out that Ash's knife frog is the exact same evolutionary line as the ninja man's tongue scarf frog?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if you told me that.
We live in the best timeline.
So,
I'm glad that I live in a timeline where a knife frog evolves into a gross tongue scarf frog.
So, Ash is fighting. He's got his frog. He's got his Pikachu. He's got his Mexican wrestling Falcon.
Oh, yeah, Eagle.
Yeah, whose just sound is like, huh. Like every time he's like, thanks friend. He's like, huh.
So Ash gets his ass totally kicked by the lady. Pulls out a Mega Absol. It's an Absol and it Mega evolves and a Mega Absol and destroys him. The end.
He's not even mad about it.
No.
I'm gonna say this, that when that Pokemon made a noise, that was not the noise I thought it was going to make.
I feel like I'm numb to the Pokemon noises.
Yeah, please, Katie, describe the noise.
I thought that it was going to be like a kind of in the vein of like a Clefairy, where it's like this like high sound like ah,
Yeah.
but it was like I was like, what the fuck is this?
I think
Like why does this emotional dog sound like have this deep voice? Like
I think at this point, I'm so used to these fucking horrible noises. The only ones I'm sensitive to are the ones that just sound like a man talking. When it's just like a dude who's like, "Hey, Murkrow, Diancie."
hello, it is I, Murkrow. Do you need your taxes done?
Or the ones that just scream like, "Ah!"
There was Maryland's the lady with the kind of devil spikes in her hair.
The like sexy master thief lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did a line, and then her Pokemon, she was like, and you'll never catch me, because I'm a master thief. And then her Pokemon just went, ah! I was like, this is perfect. I'm glad that your line that you think is very smart was followed by a scream immediately.
Just like a man grunting.
Yeah.
Why have they never gotten Tim Allen to do a Pokemon voice?
Oh, because he's a garbage person.
I know, but okay. I don't want Tim Allen to make money, right? Like, I don't want to have to be exposed to him in my life. I don't want him to make any money. But it would be so nice to have a Pokemon that was just like,
I would love that, honestly, yeah.
I'm sure you can find YouTube videos.
So, Ash gets his ass kicked, and Bonnie runs up to the trainer who beat Ash and is like, "Hey, you're really good at Pokemon. Can you take care of my brother?" And the Vault toddler grabs her with his robot arm, and he's like, "Oh, every time." What the fuck was that?
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, I had my note here was imagine being a Pokemon trainer and having someone just bombard you with propositions to be a guardian. Like, just be like, well, me and my Cubone over here, and she's like, "Can you be my mom? Please, I need someone to be my mom."
Was that what it is? It was like, "Please adopt us."
Yeah, I don't know if it was like either "please adopt us," because I obviously have no idea where these two little babies have come from.
Yeah.
But also, is it like take me under your wing and I'll be your apprentice, I'll be your Padawan, and
because this Ash guy sucks.
He's a fucking nerd.
I'd still been thinking, and this kid is clearly younger than Brock.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's definitely inappropriate for me to think this, but I'm going to forge ahead anyway. I thought because of the absence of Brock that they needed another horny character, another just like ruthlessly horny character, and so that this was please fuck my brother.
That Bonnie is the ruthlessly horny character?
No, Bonnie knows that Clement is aggressively horny.
But he's too shy to do anything about it. He just like sits there and quietly goes like, "God, Officer Jenny, I swear to God." Wait, sorry, that was creeping me out.
The Pokemon creators were like, "You know what our problem was with Brock? Too forward. Why don't? But the hitting on every single female character in the show thing, fucking comedy gold. What if we have a girl ask about it? People love this.
Then it cancels it out.
Yeah. Anyone accuses them of sexism, they'll be like, a girl said it?
Let's involve a 5-year-old in this sexual innuendo. That won't be problematic.
You know when you're horny enough that your 5-year-old sister picks up on it and feels the need to help you out on it?
Hey, my older brother definitely needs to get these rocks off.
I will say,
my older brother needs to come. Can you help him come? Thanks. I'm gonna go with my Meryl and we're gonna go eat sandwiches.
I will say, when I was much younger, when I was I think between like 3 and 6 years old, my dad had trained me to smile and wave to women
Oh boy.
in public that I, as a 3 to 6 year old, thought were pretty, so that they would come over and chat, which is
Oh. Boy.
now that I think about it, a fucking weird thing to do. A weird thing for a single dad to do.
I have a couple questions. Wait, first, did it work?
It started conversations. My dad and I disagreed on what was pretty.
Okay.
You're just constantly waving at like a Minnie Mouse at the Disney store.
No, I was waving to women of all ages, which I think was the problem. I think I brought over a few too many like women over 50 when my dad was 30, just because I was like, oh, there's a lady, hey.
It's simultaneously very upsetting and very, very cute because I'm imagining just tiny baby Pat.
Waving at old ladies. Like, hey, come fuck my dad.
Can you take care of my dad?
Hey, you have a cool Pokemon. Can you come take care of my dad? I got a different hotel room.
I will say, I do think Bonnie was looking for a guardian rather than a girlfriend for Clement, because I believe that Clement is a 2-year-old that just is super smart and very large.
Very tall. So, the ninja, whose name I would spend half of the, like, actually 75% of this movie not knowing, his name is Riot. Right?
Yeah, it's Marilyn and Riot.
And then the sexy lady whose name is Marilyn, they're both master thieves, and they're competing over who can, at this point, just fight Diancie. Like, there's no indication that they're trying to kidnap Diancie. They're just trying to beat it up and kill it. And they're fighting over it until Ash runs in between them.
From nowhere. The story wasn't about him up till now.
Yeah.
But he just runs in.
Like he always does, Ash runs into the middle of the story and says, hey, I'm in here now. That's Ash's primary character trait. And somebody calls Marilyn a master blabbermouth.
Hang on. So Ash steps in and is like, what's going on here? Because he sees a Pokemon being messed with.
Yeah.
And Marilyn says something to the effect of, don't get in our way. I'm kidnapping this Pokemon. Which I guess she wasn't supposed to say. That's a very blatant way of saying it if you're not supposed to say it. But Riot is upset with that, says that she shouldn't tell people that they're both trying to kidnap a Pokemon, and then says, you're not a master thief. You're a master blabbermouth.
Which is how we find out her name.
Yeah. That
she considers herself a master thief, and that her and Riot are not friends. But they know each other.
And they don't think each other is hot.
They're not.
Don't even think for a second that either of them thinks the other one is hot, and that they would not smooch. Don't even think about
these two would
all
never
the smooching that they could do.
These two would never smooch. Don't start thinking about them smooching, because you're not going to see these two smooch. They hate each other.
Also,
no smooching's going to happen in this movie. It's a Pokemon movie, not a smooch movie.
You think these two are sexy and have been friends for a long time, and maybe they've recognized this too?
They don't even dance.
Pikachu electrocutes everybody, and Diancie runs away.
I do love, it's been a while since Ash was straight up just like using Pikachu as a gun. So it's nice to see that that's back.
We find out every single character in the movie says, Diancie is a special Pokemon that can make diamonds. All of them take turns saying it.
One of my notes is that the Pokemon universe is very pro-diamond industry. Everyone's like, I'm after these diamonds. These diamonds have value.
And also, somebody in the crowd, as Pikachu's electrocuting everyone, somebody in the crowd that's gathered to watch calls for Officer Jenny. They say, call Officer Jenny, quick. Which is wild. Officer Jenny.
You're allowed to call Officer Jenny now that Brock isn't around to sexually harass her.
Yeah. But Officer Jenny is still just transferring from town to town and still just ending up in the same town that Ash and Pikachu end up in.
Yeah.
Wait, did you guys not know that there are multiple Officer Jennys and multiple Nurse Joys?
Katie, I've watched 15 Pokemon movies at least.
Oh, you're right. I'm an idiot.
Is that really explained somewhere?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the TV show, I think, that there are multiple Officer Jennys and multiple Nurse Joys.
Sometimes they talk to each other on like video phones so that you can tell that there's multiple of them. And every now and then they'll refer to each other as their cousins or something.
I really had no idea.
Listen, Pat.
You let me believe this.
I didn't want to tell you because I thought the world would be so much more magical if you didn't know.
Oh no, did I ruin this?
Pat.
Am I the adult in the line in Disney World that spoils the magic for the kid behind me? Did I just do the thing that I hate?
There's magic in Disney World?
No, kid. It's all actors.
So, Diancie's like, thank you for saving me. And it's clear to everybody that it's telepathy. But Vault Boy yells, it's telepathy! So the spirit of Brock announcing that every Pokemon speaks with telepathy is still alive.
So this is where we get their names, right? Our new friends, Ash's new gang.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They all introduce themselves to Diancie.
And then Team Rocket is like, I want to steal that fucking thing.
Did you see Serena identifies the Pokemon as Diancie by opening up her Pokedex and pointing it at Diancie?
Yeah.
There was a language in there. They show the Pokedex entry, and it's some weird... I don't read Japanese. I don't think it was Japanese. Definitely wasn't English or any like Western
characters.
What do they call it? Arabic characters.
My guess was, because I saw that too, my guess was just that, like, we don't want to have to do an English version and a Japanese version. We don't want to do, like, any kind of multiple language version for the text. Yeah. So we're just going to do this made up text. And we'll just have someone narrate it, and it's fine.
I didn't notice, but it makes sense, because I really think that these Pokemon movies take place in this, like, alternate...
It's just another planet.
Yeah.
That's the narrator I noticed today kept just saying this world, or like he refuses to say Earth.
I believe one time, Pat, you had a theory that this is a universe that has a thin barrier between our universe, that Professor Oak has infiltrated our universe to create the Pokemon game so that we do the work for him.
Right, yeah.
We fill the Pokedexes so that Professor Oak in the Pokemon universe can then be an expert on Pokemon.
And we're actually walking like little Ash Ketchums around in their universe.
You didn't go that far.
Well.
But now that you've gotten there... I
mean, that's the only... it's not like he would just... What's the point of creating a computer program for us to go out and find programs that he's already written into it, you know? He would need us to find real Pokemon, which means we're controlling a person in this Pokeverse.
So he's unlocked multiple timelines of his own universe. And every time we play a Pokemon game, we're controlling one of those timelines.
Oh, I don't mean it's always specifically Ash Ketchum. It's somebody each time. So you're Ash Ketchum is a fake character he made up to be like, oh, look, these are all just fake characters you're playing.
So there's all these like weird robots wandering around the Pokemon world that it's just us playing the game.
Yeah. Or some sort of like replicant. Katie, thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah. Think about it.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Everything Pat said is true.
I'm gonna run this by every guest from now on.
I always thought that it was just kind of this like alternate universe Japan, just because obviously the cartoon's made in Japan, and they're doing they're eating a lot of things and doing a lot of things that you associate with Japanese culture, but it's Japan, but with like cute punch animals. I didn't think that far as Pat, but
sometimes though they're in France, and sometimes they're in Italy, and sometimes they're in
New York.
So their home base is alternate universe Japan. It's like Epcot. Like you walk 10 feet and you're in Italy, and then you walk 10 more feet and you're in France. But it's not quite France. But there's a guy who's like from Arkansas who's like just like the real thing. He's never been to actual France, but he's like, yeah, this is, you don't have to travel to Europe. You can just go to Epcot.
Come eat a baguette, he says.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got like kind of a southern accent, so he's like, "Oh, come eat a baguette."
For some reason, he's like drawn on his own mustache.
Right. He clearly shaves his face, but draws a mustache on.
But he has a grumpy T-shirt on to know, so that he signals to you that he's an asshole. So
yeah,
like,
because that's all he knows about France. And he doesn't know what a gondola does, so he just like carries one around by a rope on the ground. Anyway, they explained to Diancie what a thief is for like a while.
It's a while. He's like, a thief is a bad person who steals things because they're bad. And she's like, a thief are they bad?
Yeah,
Are they a bad person?
Bad. They take things that don't belong to them.
Yeah, the Pokemon universe is a very black and white moral code.
Right.
Like there's no nuance to it. It's just like, people who steal are bad. They should all be killed, and no one should let them have freedom.
How fucking great would it be if Diancie was like, well, what if they're trying to feed their family? And Ash is forced to be like
snaps her neck.
Like,
this one would have turned into a thief.
She's like, well, Ash, what if you find $1 on the ground? Do you turn it over to the police or donate it to your friends and family? Or
you always donate to police. Always donate to Officer Jenny because she knows what's right.
And then they kill a homeless person. Also, when they're explaining what a thief is, did you guys notice that there's a lady with curly hair and pearls on and big dress walking up the stairs next to them, and she gives them the craziest fucking look, and then she does a take to camera and then walks off screen?
Yeah.
I was probably checking the time at this point. I don't remember that.
You've noticed this and you're not bothered?
I did notice this lady. She looked at them like, what the fuck? And then, and in my head, I was like, yeah, this would be a weird thing to see. Except this lady's probably used to seeing Pokemon all the time. Yeah. And as soon as I realized that she's used to seeing Pokemon all the time, she looks at the camera and gives it a little smile like, look at these kids.
It's the fucking weirdest thing. She never comes back. Like, they feature her. She's also there. The main characters are on, like, the right-hand side of the screen. She is center screen.
She's an extra. She's an extra that's going beyond the role the director gave her, except somebody animated that in.
She's like the director's daughter. Who they gave, like, well, a director's grandmother, let's be real, who they gave a part of this movie, and but none of it's real. It's all animated. Anyway, they all go and they eat dinner, and they show Diancie what donuts are, and then Team Rocket stuffs Diancie in a bag.
Yeah, Team Rocket, in and out. They had an efficient plan.
Yeah. When they were explaining what they want to do with the money they get from the diamonds, it just felt very sad to me because they were just talking about like, oh, we'll finally get a hot meal. It'll be so nice. We'll use all these diamonds to just buy hot, nice, good quality food.
Look, not to be that guy, but Team Rocket could have gotten a job a long time ago.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's for sure, right? Like, they're not just petty criminals who don't know anything else in the world. They have been traveling the entire globe in a hot air balloon that keeps getting popped, and they keep paying to replace it. They could definitely have just,
Yeah, like is Giovanni just replacing that air balloon every time,
Well,
or or is it like a thing of like, I'm gonna pay for it, but this is adding to your debt, like, and now they're like millions of dollars in debt.
Okay, we haven't seen Giovanni in like literally 17 movies, but that's a fucking really good point. What if Team Rocket has not dissolved? They're still strong as ever, but they do not associate with Jesse and James because Jesse and James are wage slaves.
Wow. So it's just like, listen, you have incurred such a debt to me that I'm not going to pay you. You just go out until you capture a mythical or legendary Pokemon. That is the only possible way you could repay this debt.
And that's why they can't even capture a fucking Pikachu from an 11-year-old boy. But that's why they keep trying to capture, like, mythical Pokemon that no one has ever seen before.
Yeah.
And Giovanni's like, I don't need to kill them. They'll probably kill themselves eventually. All I need to do is buy a balloon every 4 months. And these guys, they'll either bring something back or they'll die and I don't have to care
starve
anymore.
to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, they're trying to get, so Team Rocket kidnapped Diancie and try to make diamonds for him. Also, at this point we notice that there's a little sword following them. A little sword with an eye. It's called a hoe edge.
Yeah, that was unimportant, I think. Team Rocket has the best arc of this movie. There's some comedy, there's some tragedy, and their mission makes sense.
Diancie keeps warning them, like, you want me to make diamonds, but I think you're gonna be disappointed. And they're like, make us diamonds, idiot.
Yeah, Diancie first identifies them as thieves and is like, oh, you're bad. And
they're like, yeah.
They're like, well, yeah, but no, we're going to give you a job. Diancie actually says, excuse me, I've never had a job, because she is a princess.
And I never will have to have a job.
But then they explain what a job is, and she's like, oh, this sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, and she makes so many diamonds that they almost drown in diamonds.
My note was, because when they got the diamonds, they're like, we could do this, and then the whole room floods with diamonds, and my note was, oh great, now you've saturated the market. Those diamonds are worthless.
Yeah, well, Team Rocket's gonna have to hide those diamonds.
Yeah, like, they're gonna have to prove to people that these diamonds are scarce, so that, like, when they try to sell them, they're valuable, rather than, like, the old mill that they have that's full of diamonds.
Yes. Yeah, only sell 2 diamonds at a time. Always sell to different sellers, so different buyers. So she clogs up the whole clock tower with these diamonds and then tries to run out. And then a lady rescues her, and then is just gone. Like, a lady shows up, rescues Diancie.
Yeah.
And the next thing we see is Ash finding Diancie alone in the middle of the street.
Yeah, they don't fill in the gap here. This lady finds Diancie with Team Rocket, takes Diancie, and is like, I'm here to save you.
And then all of a sudden Ash is like, Diancie, where are... Oh, there you are!
Yeah.
And it was like early afternoon when he met Diancie, and now it's like middle of the night. So there's at least 6 hours there. And
it only makes less sense once we find out who this lady is. It's another master thief. It's
yeah, she's another master thief.
We're not spoiling anything here.
There's like 15 master thieves in the movie. So Diancie eventually is like, I made a bunch of diamonds for Team Rocket, but they're going to be disappointed. And then we see that all the diamonds that she makes disappear.
It's disappear. Yeah, they're like swimming in these diamonds like Scrooge McDuck. And then they just start disappearing and Meowth goes, uh-oh.
My favorite was the fact that they animated their tailbones just shattering, because like they're all like holding onto their butts, like, and just like doing that anime like sweat drop, like I'm in pain face. It was perfect.
Now that Katie, you have underlined that they were only going to use these diamonds to get their first full meal.
It's so sad.
I love the fact that these diamonds are disappearing from their literal hands, and what they're doing is watching the contents of their future stomachs fade away.
Mhm.
They're like watching themselves live in poverty for another year.
You got to start moving them right away.
Yeah. There's no time for basking. You've got to start selling.
That's the number one rule of being a master thief is don't swim around in the stuff that you stole. Just sell it.
That was always Scrooge McDuck's problem. He would swim around in his big silo of gold.
Well, Scrooge McDuck would probably say that he's an investor, not a thief. So, which who's to say what he is?
Yeah, I mean, Elizabeth Warren 2020. I think
Is there
there's no
really
difference.
a difference? Me and Matt both tugged on our shirt collars.
So she tells the gang what she's up to. She's looking for Xerneas. Xerneas. And Ash invites himself along.
Also, this woman that rescued...
Right.
I keep almost saying Daenerys.
What is it?
This woman that rescued
Diancie.
then just goes up to an invisible jet.
She flies up to an invisible jet where her dad lives.
Yeah.
And eats chocolates all day.
Yeah.
And laughs at other master thieves. He watches them on cameras.
Yeah, my note here is just Dad loves chocolate.
He loves it so much. And he's not worried about Team Rocket. He's like, oh no, Riot is looking for the Pokemon and Maryland's looking for the Pokemon. This could get interesting. And then she's like, and look at these people. And he's like, and just Team Rocket on the screen. It's like, nah, I don't care.
Brushes them off.
And I don't know if you guys felt this, and it might just be the copy that we watched. Do you feel like these scenes just started cutting out randomly? Like, before they were over?
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's cutting to commercial.
Just felt like we were watching a bunch of half thoughts happen.
Yeah.
I don't know if, like, I imagine it's the difference between the English version and the Japanese version, but I would just love it if what it was, yo, let's keep these things to a fucking hour. And they just, in the middle of scenes, the editor was like, nope, cut it here.
That's enough of this.
So somebody's in the middle of like, we've really got to save and then it just gets to the next. The gang and Diancie, they're on a bus. They're following Xerneas' fairy aura trail.
Which apparently Diancie can sense and no one else can, and we're just praying that the bus driver can also sense.
Yeah, do they just transfer buses every time the bus stops going in the direction of the trail?
I honestly would hope that I would say, like, let's make the movie longer if we had to watch them transfer from bus to bus.
Oh no,
like,
the trail's going that way. And then they're like looking at a bus schedule like, are any buses going northeast?
Pikachu arguing about transfer fees.
We only rode that bus for 3 miles. We should be able to use these passes.
And they go bus to boat here.
Well, yeah, because they must be transferring because at one point they sleep outside. So
that shelter tent was really fun. I really liked that shelter tent.
Oh yeah, they had a tent that was shaped like shelter. It's really cute.
Yeah. You know what they don't use as a mode of transportation? A train. Yeah, they love trains. They're train people.
Train. Yeah, they talk about train. They do or talk about trains every movie. And now,
I guess in honor of Ashley leaving.
Yeah, they get on a boat. Well, first they wish on a star that Diancie will make awesome diamonds. And then they get on a boat. And suddenly everyone's wearing tracksuits. Did anyone clock this? It's one scene. They're on the train, they're all wearing their normal outfits. Then they're on the boat and they're all wearing tracksuits.
Well, it's because they get soaked by the weasels or whatever they are. They're like weasel otters, and they like did that thing where like they went and they like jumped in the air and they splashed down real hard and they all got soaked.
And then
that's why they're in the tracksuits.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice that. I was just like, why are they fucking wearing tracksuits? And then the next scene, they're back to wearing their normal clothes. But all right, they get splashed. They put on some...
There's some mild context there for the costume change.
Thank God.
Now this movie makes sense.
They all go to the mall.
Well, first they explain what friends are, and then they go to the mall.
Once every 3
I
movies.
loved the line, shopping malls are for shopping. Clement says that at one point. He's like, shopping malls are for shopping.
And then
Like, thanks, Clement.
oh, I get it. So it worked. And then girls be shopping for a while, right?
I wrote
Yeah.
the same thing in
My notes are girls love shopping, boys hate shopping.
Women be shopping and boys love ice cream.
I also loved just watching them try to put clothes on Diancie. Because at one point they're in the bathing suit store and she's got like 2 bikini bottoms on her coal butt. Like it looks like she's got 2 like different pieces of clothes like on her butt just so it looks like something.
I at some point they put on dresses made out of baked goods. I don't know if you guys caught this, but they're wearing like donuts on their arms and like cupcakes.
And they just giggle about how kawaii they are.
Yeah, they're so kawaii. But
I'm glad we got a shopping montage.
Clement and Nash are just sitting on a fountain eating ice cream, and they're like, "Oh, are you ladies done yet?"
Yeah, you know, boys.
Yeah,
Matt, we love sitting next to the fountain while the women in our lives shop.
Yeah. As long as I can get a good old ice cream and hang out with my boy, I love or hate going to the mall. I do something about going to the mall. I love to go to the mall and complain about being at the mall.
I'm indifferent about going to the mall, and I love it.
You go to the mall, and then when women are there, you complain about the mall because you can't like things that women like.
Yeah.
So it's that.
And like, if I'm sitting on the fountain eating ice cream, and the women that I'm complaining about come up with ice creams in their hands, my ice cream's going right in the fountain. I hate this thing. I hate this fucking cold milk crap.
Yeah, like one of the more mild like arguments against Elizabeth Warren in 2020 are like, Elizabeth Warren loves the mall.
Do we really want a president who loves the mall?
Here are pictures of her at Claire's getting her granddaughter hot dog earrings.
Here's a picture of her at Forever 21 going, I don't get the fashion these days.
But she'll still buy her granddaughter that crop top.
Here's the thing I never realized I wanted. I would love to see Elizabeth Warren shopping in a Hot Topic.
Oh, I would love that for her.
Like a circa 1999 Hot Topic.
I would love.
Oh, not a modern Hot Topic. The ones that like all the Hot Topics that smell bad.
Exactly.
All right, what happens here? A bunch of those little rocks, the carbinks show up and start chasing Diancie around, and
oh yeah, they show up at the mall.
Yeah,
no one is phased.
And this is where we find out that Clement is Inspector Gadget. No, we saw him do a hand once before, but now he pulls a robot ladder out of his backpack, and Ash rides the robot ladder up to the ceiling.
Yeah, so
almost shatters his face.
Yeah.
Diancie runs away because her guards are there. The gang assumes that there are more master thieves trying to steal Diancie.
Reasonable.
So, what's his name? The giant baby.
Clement
uses his gadget arm just to pull a ladder out of his backpack that I guess is like a high-tech ladder, but it's just an extension ladder. It's a ladder that extends.
It's like a robot ladder that extends as high as
3 stories.
The atmosphere.
It's a 30-foot extension ladder.
And Ash can't work the damn thing, so he calls a bird to come pick him up.
Which, like, he could have done that at the top.
Yeah, he didn't need to get on the ladder. A bird flies up.
Yeah, like, he's got his little luchador parrot. Like, he can you can ride that bird's coattails.
So, Ash saves Diancie from her
guardians.
From her guardians.
From herself.
Marilyn shows up, and Ash fights her, and then the rest of the gang steal a rhyhorn from a rhyhorn farm.
It's more of like a from what it looked like it was like a horse racing pen, but for rhyhorns.
But they race rhyhorn. I mean, why not? I mean, all they do is make animals fight each other. Why not race them too? But they steal one and ride it off into the forest and set it free. And then,
it basically does like a thank you.
Yeah.
It's like rye. It's like, okay, yeah, I think that's thank you.
I guess they did a good deed.
Thank you. It could also be feed me. It's been domesticated.
Please show me affection.
I'm so lonely.
Take me back.
I've been trained not to be in this environment,
I'll die
and now
out.
I'm completely crippled.
I'll die out here. You want me to leave?
Oh, Rhyhorn, you're so funny.
You're welcome.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll go die now. So then the ninja boy attacks with his
tongue frog.
And there's just a bunch of fighting and fighting.
They all meet in the woods. Ash has the same strategy, which is just like, Pikachu, fucking fry these dudes. And it's working. And then the lady that saved...
The Greninja turns into 30 Greninja.
Oh, yeah. That's the
Yeah.
frog, right?
Yeah.
Which is wild. And made me think, like, how come more... In situations like this, how come more people don't just release a bunch of Pokemon? Why doesn't anybody have 30...
Pokeballs in their backpack, and they're just like, all right, fuck you. Here's 30...
tongue frogs.
Here's 30 tongue frogs. Yeah.
Deal with that.
And then those tongue frogs multiply, because that was what the tongue frog did. It turned into 30.
It used
so if you have
double.
30, and then they turn into 30.
Then you have...
That's 900.
900 tongue frogs? You could conquer a city with that! So...
The woman that initially saved Diancie from Team Rocket shows up.
I hate this movie now. Like, the more we're, like, describing plot points, it's like, oh yeah, then something else happened, and then another fucking thing happened. This movie's terrible.
We do learn her name as well as her father's name, because Marilyn says, oh, I think she said Millie. Oh, Millie Steele, you're here.
I spent the whole movie every time they would say her name, and I didn't care enough to rewind, but because I had to pee. But every single time I was like, what the fuck was her name? It was like Linen, Bibby.
I heard Millie, but that's my cat's name, so I may have just.
What did you hear, Katie?
All the time.
I think it was Millis, or
Millis?
like it was an it was a M sounding name, like Millis or Millie. Or Milox or whatever the fuck. Her dad's name is Argus.
Yeah, I was going to say, regardless, my favorite line of the movie is, that means your father, Argus, must be here too. We find out his name is Argus Steele.
His name is Argus Steele, the master thief. He's a master thief and his last name is Steele. Oh, poor kid never stood a chance.
Hey, who's your favorite thief? Is it Riot or is it Argus Steele?
It's Chocolate Daddy. It's the dad who loves chocolate, aka Argus Steele. He's my favorite.
Argus Steele's a real chocolate daddy.
He loves one of the lines that he said that made me sigh, but also be like, "Oh, that's great." Was it's like he made a comparison. He's like, "It's like this. It's like chocolate without cocoa. It's worthless." Like then it's not chocolate.
And you don't have chocolate.
Then you don't have chocolate. You don't have anything if it doesn't have cocoa powder in it.
It's like flour without wheat.
It's like, no shit, Argus.
And then the Carbinks, we find out, like, explain... They get away, I guess. And the Carbinks the Carbanks explain their purpose to Ash and the gang, and they're like, oh no, it's these bad guys, and they're like, actually, we're her best friends in the whole world.
Just another group of people that we get to know now. Well, not people.
Yeah, I also for a second, I didn't understand that was a flashback when they were doing the thing through the seasons.
Yeah.
I thought that was, they had ditched, like, everyone else and they were on their own thing, but then it was like, okay. That wasn't very clear, but
through the
whatever,
seasons,
none of this is clear.
I didn't get that it was a bunch of seasons had passed. Are we supposed to believe that Diancie and the little rocks have been wandering around for, like, months?
No, that's what she's saying, is that it was like a flashback to them
wandering around for months?
Finding their purpose.
At least 3 seasons.
Shit, I didn't even notice that seasons had passed.
Yeah, because it was either seasons had passed or they did a terrible job at explaining that they were different climates.
Right. Well, they did a terrible job at something.
Yeah, whatever it was, terrible job. But it was, they went through at least summer, spring, summer, fall, winter.
Okay.
Because there's that scene where they're like huddling in the cave and she's doing that like anime girl shiver, like, oh, oh, oh. And she's like holding, like she's shivering and holding her arms.
The more you point out how many anime girl things she does, the more I am positive that there's a Tumblr dedicated to fucking this rock.
Oh, great.
Oh, I'm sure. And I hate it. She just does all the anime girl tropes. She really does. She does like all the sounds, all like the expressions and the emotions.
And the like,
she's just like it,
helpless but defiant girl thing, like,
yeah,
with like an 8, like, could be 7 years old, could be 19 years old. You have no idea.
She's a dumb idiot, but she's a pretty defiant dumb idiot. Like,
yeah. So they're flashing back to they're going through all this stuff looking for Xerneas, and then Diancie runs away from the little rock, her rock guardians, and that's what we find out in the flashback. And then I guess for some reason that becomes less clear as time goes on. They take them back down to the caves.
This is such a weird thing to do. Is
Yes.
at the beginning of the movie, she just appears in this city, whatever city they're visiting, and they have to flash back to explain that she left their cave home, which we already saw at the beginning of the movie, to get to this city.
Right.
But the only exposition they're providing is, oh yeah, she got away from us.
Like, we knew that. Is that what you're saying? Like,
yeah. There's no need to explain that part.
And then they take them down to this, like, the caverns, like the caves from the beginning, which apparently stretch to everywhere. Like, you can get anywhere in the world through these caves, because you could get to the city from these caves. Or no, they wandered for 3 seasons to get to the city. But there just happens to be a cave here in the forest that is less than a day's walk away from the city.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they took the scenic route.
and now they're in the caves where not only did there just happen to be a cave here, there happened to be a cave where the old man from earlier was there.
This could have been the end of the movie.
And then the caves fall apart and she's like, I guess I failed. And then everyone dies.
Well, no, they get Diancie back to the cave after getting her away from 3 different master thief gangs.
She's learned what friendship is.
She's
and now
learned
she
what
can
friendship is. They went on a journey.
Now she can make a big rock.
Ash made a promise. Now all she needs to do is just make that diamond and everybody's set.
I mean, they wouldn't have resolved 9 out of the 10 plot points they've created.
How many did they actually resolve by the end?
I don't feel like they resolved really any but hers. Like, there was a lot of, like, the thieves and stuff where I'm like, you still didn't even touch on why. I think that if this was a season of a TV series, like, if this was a season of Pokemon, you would have the time to flesh out, like, who Chocolate Daddy is and who Riot and whoever her name is. Like, Marilyn or
the most
Millicent.
memorable characters in all of fiction, Riot and Marilyn, the Pokemon thieves.
Like, if you had that time to, like, flesh out these characters so that by the time they all connect in the forest, it has stakes. But this just felt like, it feels like a bunch of people who all go to the same high school, but no one really knows who each other is. Like, meet up at the gym to punch. Like,
right. It feels like this is really important to them, but not to me.
No.
Like, if you've ever seen a comedy show that just feels like a bunch of friends goofing around on stage with each other, and you're like,
most of them,
and you're like, I shouldn't be here. This feels voyeuristic. Anyway, yeah, they're wandering around in what they now have named the Diamond Domain, which they didn't call it that earlier. But yeah, it's a kind of catchy name. We live in the Diamond Domain. But anyway, it's crumbling because the Heart Diamond is gone. Diancie cries because she failed, and she didn't heed anybody's warnings. And then
Elder comes back in and starts...
he's like, you fucked up. And she's like, I know I fucked up so bad. And he's like, you're a little asshole. Those are actual lines of dialogue from the movie.
Yeah, it goes from 0 to 10 real quick with the language.
And then she's like, you know what? You're right. I'm gonna find Xerneas. Isn't that what you've been doing the whole fucking movie?
I wrote, one of my notes was, the Heart Diamond is dead felt like this weird reverse Beauty and the Beast thing. Of like, oh, the petals fell off the rose.
Right.
I gotta go find the witch and make a new rose. Like, it's just so dumb. It's so dumb.
It's really bad. And like, also, if the plot had been they were looking for the witch to replace the rose already for the entire movie, like, they just showed us a flashback of her spending the better part of a year looking for Xerneas, and they bring her back down to the Diamond Domain to give her the emotional stakes to go find Xerneas? That's your whole character.
You already had it.
You had it. You were there. And not only that, but what's more infuriating is that she's just like, well, I guess I'll just go to where Xerneas is, and she exits the cave into the forest where Xerneas lives.
Yeah, and they were talking about, like, oh, this is the all-earth forest. Like, a great extinction happened here. And everyone's like, what? Like,
yeah,
if it's the all-earth forest, everyone should know what this is. It would be like if someone was like, this is where the Declaration of Independence was signed, and people were like, what?
Also, like, you could just get there the whole time. There's so many problems here. Number one, they could just get there the whole time. They could just get there.
Yeah,
there was an exit of the Diamond Domain that just led directly to there. And they spent 3/4 of a year looking for the place.
Yeah.
Also,
number two, what Katie said, nobody seems to know about this place that seems like something incredible happened at. And number three, they keep talking about how it's forbidden to go there and nobody has gone there in years.
Guess where you're gonna end up?
They just walk.
Guess where I'm just gonna stroll through like an idiot.
They just walk right into there, and not only that, it's full of Pokemon, so everybody's going there.
We're coming into the third act here, and all of a sudden we've got a whole new set of mythology and stakes behind this forbidden forest. We find out something terrible happened in the all Earth forest.
Yeah.
And now there's a new Pokemon, Evilmon. Yveltal.
Yeah.
Who drained all the life force from this forest and then turned itself into a cocoon at the bottom of a lake to stop doing that, I guess. I don't know what happened to it. But so we have a new legendary Pokemon we have to worry about. We find out that if they don't create a new Heart Diamond...
Would you say that it's currently hibernating in a cocoon of destruction. Would you say that?
My favorite description they gave is that it became a giant cocoon. It sucked the life force out of the forest and then became a giant cocoon.
And did all three of us at the same moment go like, oh, that's why it's called that. That's why the movie's called that.
Yeah, it's like that, like when you're like just being one of those nights where you're just like, oh yeah, I'm just being garbage. I need to go to bed. Like, that's what happened to Yveltal. It was just like, oh no, I'm being a bad person. I should go to sleep for forever.
They find, what's its name? Xerneas? Pretty quickly. It's like a deer.
47 minutes in.
Christmas lights tangled up in its antlers.
Wait, hold on. Before we get to Xerneas, anyone who wakes Xerneas from its cocoon will face the harsh judgment of fury.
Mm-hmm.
And also, they passed this theory that maybe Yveltal destroyed the forest to make life happen or something. It's very weird. But anyway, then somebody says balance of nature, and Ash is like, balance of nature? And then Clement explains like a fucking nerd that nature has a balance. And it's like mind-blowing to Ash. And he's like, oh my god, I guess nature has a balance. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. They find Xerneas.
It's a big blue deer with Christmas lights tangled up in its antlers.
And it runs away immediately.
Well, I may be skipping some exposition here,
please.
But Diancie and Xerneas talk to each other. Xerneas is like, you have a great power to restore the balance of the all-earth forest. Only you can do it. You have to create a heart diamond. Here's like a gift of energy from me to you that'll help you do it. And Ash is standing there listening to this speech and goes, I feel like I was given that power too.
It's like, you don't always have to be the center of attention, Ash. Sometimes somebody else is the chosen one.
He's ready to do it.
He's just so in. He's all in.
He's like, I imagine every time he's off screen for the rest of the movie, he's like giving himself a brain embolism trying to create a heart diamond. and Clement's just like, dude, settle down.
So they run into the Forbidden Forest, of course, to try and solve everything.
And then Chocolate Daddy and his daughter show up, and they're like, hey, guess what? We've been bad the whole time.
Just the most polite, evil thieves I've ever. They're like, hey, sorry, we're gonna kidnap you.
You know that little sword that you guys didn't see, but the audience saw? Oh, that was our spy. And we're just gonna... By the way, my name is Argus Steele. Yeah, so there's a big fucking Three Stooges farce here.
They're unsuccessful.
Yeah.
Because this is my other absolute favorite moment of the movie, aside from Argus Steele revealing his name. Riot is just wearing a belt with two ropes coming out of either side, and those ropes are tied around two bee Pokemon. I don't know what.
Ninjask.
What?
Oh boy. They're Ninjasks. They're the evolution of Nincada. If you happen to have an empty space in your party and an extra Pokeball when you evolve Nincada into Ninjask, you get not only Ninjask, but you also get a Shedinja.
Oh. Anyway, two giant bees, essentially. He's got a belt that's tied to two giant bees, and that's how he gets around.
With his arms folded and his legs out straight. Like he's fucking King Tut.
There's no better character entrance in the history of Pokemon movies than when this guy comes floating in with two giant bees attached to his belt.
And he doesn't even, and his arms are folded, so you know he doesn't care.
Yeah.
So there's this big fucking chase sequence that could have had Benny Hill music playing behind it, where like Riot steals Diancie and runs away, and then Marilyn shows up and steals Diancie from Riot and runs away, and then and then Ash shows up and steals Diancie, and he's like, "Get out of here!" And then Team Rocket is there for some reason, but then they all fall into this like pit with water in it, and every time somebody, it happens so much. All right, so like, Riot steps in the water, and then there's this red glow around his feet, and then Marilyn steps in the water, there's a red glow, and then Ash steps in the water, there's a red glow, and
each time there's this oddly shaped rock in the middle of this little shallow pool. If you had to describe the shape of this weird rock, is there any like metamorphic pod this reminds you of?
It reminds me sort of like, okay, this is gonna sound weird, but you know how like a caterpillar, when it hibernates, when it's like, for lack of a better term,
when it hibernates,
evolving into a butterfly. You know, a caterpillar like hibernates.
When it's in its chrysalis.
When it's in a chrysalis, yeah. Some people call those like a cocoon.
Let's go with chrysalis, I think.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I was gonna say it's like a cocoon, but if a cocoon
I ruined it.
If a cocoon was of destruction, but let's call it a chrysalis of hot topic.
It just smells weird, and there's like really aggressive music playing.
It's like red and black and spiky, and
there's so much Invader Zim content inside, and just like, why?
And it's like 15 years after Invader Zim went off the air. Just find a new cartoon.
No, it's just Invader Zim. This is what we got.
So
we've got Slipknot and Invader Zim.
The old
dick jokes.
Is this our second Invader Zim shout out in 2 episodes?
Listen, Invader Zim was a very good movie. Remember, if you watch it all together, if you watch the whole series back to back, it's like a movie, is what I'm trying to say. Listen, the old man says, "It's a cocoon, the cocoon of destruction," and Yveltal comes out. That's what I'm really trying to get at.
And man, is this thing a problem.
Oh, this bird, it don't like being woke up.
Right. First of all, it's a bird.
Yeah.
Second of all, it screams. It's a screaming bird.
It's a screaming bird. We've seen these before. It's goth as hell.
It's actually pretty cool.
Anyway, everyone tries to run away from it, and it Judgment of Furies them all into stone.
So this is the thing that I saw that I didn't get. Obviously, like, this whole movie's illogical, and there's no real rationale for anything that's happening in this movie. But it's like, why
get out?
Are the Pokemon only getting turned into stone, and why aren't the people who are directly getting hit by the ray not turning into stone?
Oh, they have
until it makes sense for them to.
They have to be hugging. Apparently, they have to be hugging to get turned into stone. Because Team Rocket hug and then they get turned into stone. And then
they do so
something sexy happens.
We might have skipped a step here to clarify. This giant screaming bird is shooting a red laser beam out of its mouth, and that is turning everything to stone. Except for the trees. It still turns the trees to stone, but it vaporizes all their leaves.
Wait, let's cut real quick, because there's a cut here where Xerneas' Spidey sense goes off. Xerneas is like very far away, and suddenly it doesn't hear or see anything, but it's like, something's wrong. It doesn't. Yeah.
I wonder if that'll come back.
Nah, probably not. So Riot and Marilyn's Pokemon both get turned to stone, and Riot doesn't give a fuck.
Marilyn is broken. She's in tears. She doesn't know what to do. This was her companion.
But Riot just ran away from his stone Pokemon, and he shows up with Marilyn, and he's like, "Hey, fuck this. Let's get out of here." I'm sick of
they're
this
both
shit.
like, we just watched our best animal companions die. do you want to fuck?
Yeah, do you try
Do you
to
want to
fuck
fuck right now in this woods? Do you want
I'm
to fuck
like-
right now?
I'm like,
Yeah.
I just watched my best friend get turned to stone, and I'm like real horny.
Like, my dick is hard.
The first thing he thought was, oh man, without this Pokemon, I'm not a thief anymore.
What
and
am
I guess the second thing was, Marilyn's not a thief anymore either.
I thought you were going to say, I'm not a thief anymore, so what am I? A fuck machine.
There's a really good moment when he's proposing to Marilyn that they just go off and bone.
Yeah.
Where she's like, what? And he's like, I'm serious. And he takes his mask off, which has no dramatic effect at all.
Face.
We haven't mentioned thus far that he was wearing a mask because there's no reason to. It's just part of, I guess, making him look like more of a ninja thief. But he takes it off, and I guess we're supposed to be impressed by that.
Yeah, there wasn't even a moment where he takes it off and she's like, oh, you're beautiful. They just, it's just
She's not even surprised.
Yeah,
She's
she's like,
seen his face before.
yeah, that's your fucking face, Riot. I don't care. Yeah, fine, let's fuck. I guess I'm into
Yeah,
it.
finger me in this woods.
There's
Riot.
I think it's Ultimate Spider-Man. There's one of the early issues where
Where is this going?
Spider-Man is going after the Kingpin and his like galley of goons, and
Ends up fucking him. Ends up fucking the kid.
no. They get the better of him, and they go. He's like unconscious in front of him, and they say, "Take his mask off. Let's find out who he is."
Oh yeah.
And they do it, and they see that it's a teenage Peter Parker, and they're all just like, "The hell is this? Why does he have a problem with me? I don't even know who this guy
It's
is."
just some guy.
And I feel like that was that moment for me. I was like, "Oh, this guy seems fine, I guess.
He just seems like a guy, I guess.
He's got nice lips." That's the other thing, is the mask was only covering his mouth.
Right. And it's
Got
like,
nice, normal human lips.
what crazy thing could have been on his mouth that, like, the Thanos chin? Like, what would have been surprising?
What if his tongue was like wrapped around his face, just like his Pokemon?
So they start making out, and Yveltal turns them to stone.
Yeah.
And it's very, like, romantic. It's something. Then Yveltal turns its attentions to Ash and his friends, and he tries to turn them to stone. But guess what? Diancie makes a heart diamond for the first time ever, and blocks...
Second time.
Oh. Whoops.
Right. There was one.
No,
earlier.
because
I
like
think we
that was the
skipped
thing
over
that I had in my notes was like I felt like it would have mattered more if this was the first time she produced a heart diamond.
But
But this is the second time in the movie she
it.
does
Did
it.
one earlier just for fun.
Oh, that's true. Oh my god. Yeah. So she makes her second heart diamond, and everyone's like, "Oh?" And it's like, yeah, I guess you're right. It's like, oh, we knew that. Everybody can't beat this Yveltal because it's a god who destroys everything, but it doesn't stop Ash from saying, "Pikachu, thunderbolt it!"
Which is effective. I don't understand. Pikachu is...
Yeah, it takes a mythical Pokemon mega evolving and doing like this amazing thing. Wait, did it mega evolve yet? I don't even remember.
Not yet.
Okay.
Because it's a lot of Pikachu just like colliding lightning bolts with the Hellspawn beam.
Right. Until they get away, and then it turns the Carbinks to
a different sort of stone. A different stone.
stone? You'd think they'd be like, yeah, okay. Okay, I'm good with this. This is me. This is... Anyway, and then Ash and Pikachu almost fall off a cliff, like always. And then somebody... Now, I'll give you 3 guesses as to who says this line. Somebody says, "I won't ever give up, ever!" All right, this is Katie. I'm sorry. I think this quiz is for Pat because he's seen a lot of Pokemon movies, so he knows the type of person that would normally yell, "I don't ever give up ever." Is it A, Ash Ketchum, B, fucking Ash Ketchum, C, Ash Ketchum, or D, somebody entirely different than Ash Ketchum?
So Pikachu doesn't talk. It wasn't
No,
Pikachu.
it wasn't Pikachu. You spent a lot of time with Ash Ketchum. You know Pikachu almost always is thinking, I won't ever give up, ever. There's two things that Ash says. I won't ever give up, ever, and you can't tell me what to do. But he has this way of rubbing off on people, is the clue here, Pat. He has this way of rubbing off on.
Pat, it's Clement. It's Clement. Clement said all of this.
Diancie's like, I won't ever give up ever, and it's like, you learned that from Ash off screen. Yeah. Ash was like, hey, if you ever get in trouble, just yell this.
Like he said it while he was eating a bunch of donuts.
He's like, hey, I've yelled, I won't ever give up ever 1,000 times, and every single time it works out.
You can have it.
So, Diancie yells that, and Mega evolves, and then makes a big heart diamond for a third time. And then,
this is a question. Are Mega Evolves temporary?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they revert once they're done doing whatever they need to do when they Mega Evolve? Is that?
Yeah.
So if like a Charizard Mega Evolves into a bigger Charizard, it would evolve.
Katie, are you talking about it evolving into a Mega Charizard X or a Mega Charizard Y?
I don't know what that means.
No one should, is the thing. Anyway, yeah, it always reverts.
Okay.
Thank you for the short answer, Matt.
So, Diancie Mega Evolves makes a heart diamond in the middle of the air that does nothing, and then throws it into a bottomless pit.
And that does something.
No? What? No. Diancie Mega Evolves, makes a heart diamond, throws it into a pit, and nothing happens. Am I wrong?
No, you're probably right.
Katie, do you remember this moment?
It didn't feel like anything really happened. Like the heart diamond disappeared. And that was it.
Yeah, and then Yveltal and then it cut to Argus Steel and his daughter, and they launch actual bombs at Yveltal's face. And then Yveltal gets mad, turns them to stone, they plummet to their death, I guess.
Yeah, they don't. I guess he'd like.
No, they don't, because they get unstoned.
Unstoned later, but like, how? Their ship plummets like 1,000 feet.
Maybe
Magic.
Because they were made of stone, they didn't die. Everything inside of them couldn't be smashed because it was made of stone.
Because it was all covered in stone.
Because you know how when you fall from like 60,000 feet, usually everything inside of you smashes?
Yeah. But you know how usually after... When a plane crashes, they keep the records of what happened in the plane's computers in a big stone. Because stones can't break.
Yeah. Anytime I've brought rocks onto a plane that's crashed, they've been fine.
Your guts have been smashed up like 1,000 times.
Yeah, this is like Pat's fifth pelvis.
You gotta make one out of stone, man.
I know, I gotta start making them out of rocks.
So, they plummet to, I guess, not their death, but then Xerneas shows up and just kind of calms Yveltal down. It's like, hey, I'm here. I'm a big deer with colorful antlers. Calm down. And Yveltal's like, yeah, all right. But then, God, this is boring. This fucking movie sucks. Then we find out that Pikachu's tail, the tip of Pikachu's tail, got hit by a Yveltal beam, and then Pikachu turns to stone, and
like
everyone
5
cries.
minutes earlier it happened. They flash back to earlier in the battle scene and show us that Pikachu's tail got nicked, and I guess because it wasn't a direct hit, it took about 5 to 10 minutes to set in.
And Ash is like, no! How could this be happening? You made it! You made your fucking Pokemon attack a god, you piece of shit!
And then I guess Pikachu's dead. I guess that's
Pikachu's dead.
how this movie's going to end.
The movie ends and the credits come out.
We all just got to move on. Pikachu is certainly dead and not coming back.
This is the movie where Pikachu dies. For real.
And then he has to replace Pikachu with that weird parrot, that wrestle parrot.
Yeah.
And we all have to fall in love with the weird wrestle
He's like, I
parrot.
guess you're my best friend now.
Ah.
Or it's the tiny frog with the knife, and it's just like constantly doing knife tricks.
and every now and then, so he always leaves the knife frog out of its ball, but then sometimes he wakes up and the knife frog is standing over him holding the knife, and he's like, knife frog? And the knife frog's like, what? Huh?
Knife.
Knife frog. And then he turns around and starts pretending to cut like a block of cheese or something.
Or like puts its like frog hand against a wall and starts doing a mumbledy peg, like the knife game. Just like making direct eye contact with Ash.
Ash has to call Professor Oak and he's like, Professor Oak, like, this is the 3rd time I've woken up and Knife Frog has been standing over me holding a knife. And Professor Oak is like, don't worry about it. Just keep collecting Pokemon. Okay. Ash Ketchum has disappeared. Anyway, no, Xerneas, of course Pikachu lives. Xerneas turns green and then everything turns green and then everyone comes back to life.
And then Xerneas turns itself into a tree by raising its hind legs in the air.
I think even fucking Clement yells, "It's becoming a tree!"
Yeah, you wouldn't have known what was happening if that didn't.
Yeah, Xerneas is like, I'm just gonna sleep here forever and be a tree, I guess.
And then just Bonnie and Serena are like, I'm bored, let's go shopping.
Xerneas says, this is not death. This is the promise of life and the beginning of hope. And then Clement says, this isn't death. This is the promise of life, the beginning of hope.
Yeah, because he's a giant baby. He's just repeating everything that the adults say.
And you know what Ash says? He says, I see. I get it. No, you fucking don't. No, you don't get it. None of this makes sense, dude. If you get it, you could explain it. That's what getting it means. Anyway...
That's it.
Yeah, Argus Steel and the daughter survive somehow. Mega Diancie replaces the Heart Diamond. And it ends on the little Pikachu clone, Diden or whatever, that has been riding around on Bonnie's head. We didn't mention this earlier. Earlier, Diancie when she learned what friends were, she made a diamond. And all diamonds are supposed to disappear, right? But as soon as she learned what friends are, she made a diamond, gave it to Bonnie as a symbol of their friendship. Bonnie put it in her backpack. Now Diden goes into the backpack, finds the diamond. The diamond never disappeared.
Yeah, I had that written down of like, oh yeah, the power of friendship is gonna make this diamond last. Like, it just felt very like children's movie predictable.
Well, this is such a fucking Pokemon movie moral. Number 1, power of friendship. Number 2, the power was inside you the whole time. Number 3, you can't tell me what to do. And number 4, everything else is fucking nonsense. This was the most Pokemon movie that I've seen yet.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it 100% was.
Yeah. Everything was Pokemon movie about this fucking movie. I mean, Ash didn't try to punch a god, which he usually does, but other than that, this was a fucking Pokemon movie and a half.
Yeah, I guess my thing with Ash is, like, he's fought legendary Pokemon and ancient Pokemon before.
Right.
Why is he always so surprised about them? Like, he's done it, like,
Yeah.
at least 10 times already. Like, if you're counting the games, the show, and the movies.
Every time Ash meets Mewtwo, he's surprised by Mewtwo again.
Yeah, it's like, how is your object permanence, my dude? Like,
And, I mean, so Ash doesn't learn lessons,
no.
but I'd say the first 10 movies, every movie Ash tried to punch a Pokemon in the face.
Oh, yeah.
But for the last, 6 movies, he hasn't tried to punch any Pokemon. So he's learned one lesson. Because in any of the... if this was the 4th movie, he would have tried to punch Yveltal. And somebody would have had to, hold him back. Or he would have jumped off a cliff to punch Yveltal. And somebody would have had to save him from falling to his death. That's Ash. That's Ash up and down.
Now he just uses Pikachu as a weapon instead.
Yeah, he just makes Pikachu electrocute humans and shoot thunderbolts at gods until Pikachu dies, and then he's like, how did this happen?
It's also wild to me that Pikachu is strong enough to actually take on a god Pokemon.
Well,
the fact that he's just like, do it! Pikachu kind of can. That's wild to me.
I mean, I guess Pikachu's been in training for 15 years now.
Well, yeah.
And it's the only Pokemon Ash uses, so it's gotta be a pretty high level by now.
Well, because he's given away all of his best friend Pokemon, so he's only got Pikachu left.
So that's the movie. That's Diancie and the Cocoon of Destruction. I guess okay, so I finished this movie, and I peed, and I thought, oh, it's fine.
It's the combined experience.
But now that I've had to describe moment by moment what happened in that movie, I got I think it was an hour ago that I first started to feel like, fuck, I have so many more things to say. And I don't want to. I don't want to keep describing this plot. This plot sucks.
Yeah, so if you're not having a good time listening to this, imagine how we feel.
What are you guys' final thoughts on this movie?
My final thoughts on it are, if I had a kid and that kid was sick, I would put this movie on just to be able to get other stuff done in the house. So they could just lay and just zone out on this. But on the other hand, movies like this make me really nervous to have kids because I like to analyze movies and I'm very critical of movies.
Yeah.
So I feel like my kid's gonna be like, hey, can we watch Trolls 5? I'm like, this movie's trash and this is why this movie's trash. Listen to this podcast I just did about why this movie's trash.
So, my favorite thing that I've ever heard, you hear all the time about people's parents not letting them watch The Simpsons or South Park or something that's offensive or giving them is a bad role model for them. But my favorite thing that I've ever heard is I have a real close friend of mine who her parents wouldn't let her watch The Smurfs because they were so fucking dumb. Because they were like, the Smurfs are too dumb. If you watch The Smurfs, you will be dumber. So you're not allowed to watch The Smurfs.
Wild.
And that's a little bit how I feel about these Pokemon movies. My kid is old enough now that I don't have to worry about it. But if I were to do it all over again, knowing about all the Pokemon movies, I would not just passively like I did in my first go through, but actively keep my son or daughter, I guess, if we're talking about a potential future child, from these movies.
It's have them read a great American novel and then they can watch a Pokemon movie.
Every time, in order to watch, it's my son, when he was too young to watch all the Harry Potter movies, wanted to watch all the Harry Potter movies. And I was like, listen, kid, every book you can read, you're then allowed to watch the movie. So that he just he just read all the words in the book and he didn't understand what he was reading because he was too young for reading comprehension.
That's what happened with my ex-boyfriend's little brother. He was, I think, 8 or 9 when he read all of the Harry Potter books, but he read them like adventure books rather than like, 5 through 7 is just this very big Nazi allegory. Like he didn't pick up on all of that, and he's just like, it's fun. He does magic.
I used to ask my son about the Harry Potter books, like after he'd read one, I'd like quiz him, and he would not know the answer to any question. Like he wouldn't know anything, but he was like, but you told me all I had to do was read them, and I read them, and so then I had to let him watch like the movie where people like die in bloody horrible deaths.
He got you.
Yeah, he got me.
He's gonna be all right, I think.
He'll be all right. You know what?
Yeah.
That kid's gonna be all right. Pat, final thoughts about this movie?
It was bad. Still think it was a bad movie. This is exceptionally bad. I am constantly upset that I have to do this podcast every week. This week I was exceptionally upset before and after watching this movie.
Yeah, this movie's bad. I don't think it's the worst one ever.
I don't think it's the worst one ever.
Okay, so we don't have any voicemails this week. Let's move into the latter half of the pod. Not half. What if the podcast was half over? Okay, let's move into the latter part of this podcast. We don't have any voicemails this week. Remember, we have a standing threat that if 3 episodes go by where we don't get a voicemail, we will cancel the voicemail program.
What are we doing about the one that we have but can't access? Because
wait, I don't think this one exists.
I thought Ashley had one, but we couldn't figure out how to get to it because it's programmed for her personal phone number.
All right, if this exists, we'll grant you a 1-week clemency.
You think Ashley listens? Ashley, if you're listening, reach out to us.
Pat, she's definitely not. She didn't listen to the podcast when she was on. Like, she didn't listen to the podcast when she was recording the podcast. Like,
that's fair.
Like, we would have to get her attention in the middle of the show, and she'd be like, "Oh wait, did the beginning happen yet?" Anyway, so if you want to leave us a voicemail or send us an email, our phone number is 607-323-7168. That's 607-323-7168. Please don't text us. We know you have that power, but please don't text it. Just call us and leave us a voicemail. Our email is theveryworstpodcast@gmail.com.
And we're on Twitter at theveryworstpod.
So now let's move into everybody's favorite segment, and we'll explain to Katie what this is. Katie, this is where we rank every Pokemon movie we've seen in order of best to worst. You claim to have seen the first 3 movies, whether or not you remember them, and we know you watched one. So do you want to rank every Pokemon movie you've ever watched from best to worst?
First through 3. Keep them as they are. First is best, second is second best, third is third best.
Wow.
This one is this is the one that your kid tells you to pack for the trip and then you forget it, but then you give it to your mom so that they can get rid of it for you.
Oh, buddy, I'm sorry. We left it behind.
I'm sorry, bud. It must have fallen out of the gas station. I don't know what happened.
Oh my god.
Yeah, wait.
Hold on a second. Nothing ever falls out of your car at the gas station. My parents threw away all my shit.
I do, Katie. I know you didn't mean to, but you're bringing back some very painful memories of me being like, well, can't we just go back there and maybe search the ground?
I'm so sorry, Pat. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. I should have figured out what was going on before now, and I'm glad that I've at least put some closure on there.
Oh, I am like, as an adult, I am figuring out like things that my parents and aunts and uncles did.
Right.
Like my aunt, like I didn't get a PlayStation, like I didn't get a gaming system till I was in about 5th grade.
Right.
And my cousins had one, and every time they'd come down, my uncle and aunt would have to be like, the PlayStation's very cold right now. It's winter time, so it has to warm up, so you can't immediately play it. And it was like this year, I was like, they lied. That's not true. So, like, I get it. I get it.
You can't play a cold PlayStation. It'll
break. It'll break the PlayStation.
It'll break the PlayStation. It'll chill your hands, and your character will move so slow. The character moves half the speed when it's cold. All right, Pat. Here's where we make... This is the fun thing about having guests, is making them sit through the torture of us listing our favorite Pokemon movies now that we're at movie 19.
It's okay. I'm going the easy route tonight because I haven't done that in a while. Okay. I am just going to say... go back 2 episodes, you'll find my definitive ranking.
No, 2 episodes was you repeating the exact same thing Ashley said, right? No, that was... Okay, no, you're right. You're right. Sorry.
It might be. Anyway, my list... This falls to the bottom of my list, but not the very bottom, because it's still not as bad as Pokemon the Movie 2000.
Yeah. Less screaming in this one.
Yes, still screaming.
Still screaming.
But substantially less screaming. And no invisible underground force that the entire world depends on to stay alive. And then from there, I don't know, the usual.
All right. I'm going to do the whole thing. And Katie, if you fall asleep, we'll scream really loud to wake you up.
I'm awake.
Number 1... Celebi's Nasty Nest.
Yeah.
Pokemon Forever. Number 2, Jirachi, Wishmaker. Number 3, Pokemon 3, the movie, The Spell of the Unknown. Number 4, Destiny Deoxys, because of the hot dog robot. Number 5, Lucario and the Mystery of Mew. Number 6,
Mewtwo Strikes Back.
Did I like that one?
No,
it's Mewtwo Returns. Mewtwo Strikes Back is the one that's about to come out. That is just the original movie, only in 3D. Is this? What did I say? This is number 5 or number 6?
You're on number 6.
Number 6. Did I say Lucario and the Mystery of Mew?
Yes.
Fuck. Then I don't know. Number 6, Mastermind.
Darkrai.
Oh yeah, number 6 is Darkrai. Number 7, Giratina and the Sky Warrior. Number 8. Mastermind and the Mirage Pokemon. Number 9, Pokemon the first movie. Number 10, Pokemon Ranger in the Temple. No, we hated that one. Number 10, no, Pokemon Here in the Temple of Sea. Number 11, Arceus and the Jewel of Life. Number 12 is Zoroark, Master of Illusions. Number 13, Black and White. Number 14, Genesect and the Legend Awakened. Number 15 is Diancie. Number 16 is Pokemon Ranger in the Temple of the Sea. Number 17 is Pokemon Hero. Did I do that twice?
I think so, yeah.
Number 16 is Mewtwo Returns. Number 17 is Pokemon Heroes, Latios and Latios. Number 18 is Pokemon the Movie 2000, and I fucking missed one. Shit.
You missed the first one.
Did I?
Pokemon the first movie.
Put the first movie right in the fucking middle. Right in the goddamn middle. Right in the damn hell middle.
The standard.
It's the standard. Did I say Kyurem versus the Sword of Justice?
That's not a...
Put that one at like 16 movie, or whatever. Fuck yeah, I did.
I love that at this point, number 10 and on is okay to be terrible. The back half of our rankings are just going to be the terrible ones.
The first 10, you're like, oh, which ones did I like? And the back 10, you're like, okay, now we're in the bad ones. All right, let me just list bad ones.
I hated this one. This was disgusting. Put this at like 10th worst.
Put this right in the middle of the 20 movies we watched. Holy is our lives, Katie. Katie, this is me and Pat's life for the past, 6 months.
Hey, that's cool.
Oh,
I'm proud of both of
Thank
you.
No one's ever told us we're doing something cool before.
No, they haven't. I feel like as we have our friends on this podcast, they should be showing more concern for us.
Even our fans are just like, you're doing what you can with what you have.
Yeah,
and
when we
appreciate
skip
that.
Yeah, you're making the best. You're making the best of a bad sandwich.
Early on, when we skipped weeks, people were like, "Oh, when are you guys coming back?" Now, when we skip weeks, I think people are like, "Oh, good for you." So, before we go, you can find us at The Very Worst Pod. We already gave, email us or call us. The next episode is we have a mini-sode next week that'll be Pikachu, what's this key?
Oh boy.
And
Oh my god.
the next full episode is called Hoopa and the Clash of the Ages.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Katie, is there anything you want? Where can people find you in the world, on the internet, in life?
All of my social media is private, so you can't find me there, and don't try. You can find me. I'm gonna plug my husband's thing because I have nothing going on right now.
Yeah,
The We the People festival's coming up in July. Paul F. Tompkins and Super Ego are the headliners, and there's some really fucking cool, funny people that are coming.
That's amazing.
I can't name them all, and I won't. But
Are you performing?
it's at Fit. No, I'm not. I'm
I'm
performing the role of supportive wife.
Well, that's awesome. Do you have a date on that?
It is July 17th through the 20th.
July 17th to the 20th, the We the People Improv Festival.
At
It's
Philly Improv Theater.
Yeah, Philly Improv Theater. A little, it's new, right? This is only the second year for this festival?
Yeah, this is second year.
And it's a little indie produced. It's real cool.
And I will say, even though Katie's not plugging anything, Katie is an incredibly talented improviser and actor who performs at the Philly Improv Theater all the time. So if you find...
Thank you, Matt. That was very sweet.
If you find anything in the Philly Improv Theater that involves Katie Cwirko, please go see it. Okay, now, here's this thing. We used to do this bit with Ashley because we never came up with like a good outro tagline. No, I'm just saying, we never came up with a good outro tagline for the podcast. We used to do a bit with Ashley.
Bye. We should stop doing that. It's not fun anymore when it's just me.
We should make the guests say something. Quirky. I mean, we're still recording. We could literally do it right now.
Katie, you got a good way to outro a podcast?
I mean, the only thing that I should have brought this up earlier, but I can do some decent Pokemon impressions.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, this will be like our own Who's That Pokemon?
Here's what I want you to do. Just do Pokemon impressions nonstop and we'll fade it out as the music fades up. Okay.
Okay, let me stretch. I don't know why I did that.
Let me stretch my throat. I'm going to pull on this.
I'm just going to rub my thyroid for a minute. Just going to get it all lubed up. And if these are bad, then don't. But
no, we do that all the time.
I've had a couple beers in me. I'm like, I'll do this in the car. Clefable, Oddish, Vileplume, Gloom, Weezing, Ekans, Back, Wartortle, Jar, Million.
Across the land, searching far and wide. Each Pokemon to understand the power that's inside.
That was great. War Turtle with the Brooklyn accent.
Oh shit!
That's what he sounds
I
like.
know.
War Turtle has like a little Brooklyn
Hey,
accent.
I'm a War Turtle.
I'm a war
War
turtle over
War
here.
Turtle.